Bizarro in the DC Universe usually means opposite, but it also promises a bit of comedy. There's a lot of comedy that comes from exploring our favorite characters in the backwards way that Bizarro allows us to tell stories with.
Bizarro was a character created in the late 50s. It was a time where comics in general were trying to get away from being too heavy or scary or creepy, and lighter tone stories came into being. They were much more Comics Code friendly. Characters like Batmite appeared in Batman, who was, up until then, pretty serious character.
Bizarro was made in 1958 in a Superboy comic as a clone of Superboy, and from that, eventually, Lex Luthor would go on to clone Superman.
The original Bizarro story is kind of a poignant story filled with pathos, just like the original Frankenstein monster movies and story. And he really was a misunderstood creation.
You have this Frankenstein superhero out in the world who is, you know, as strong as Superman, which is its own challenge. You have somebody who doesn't play by the rules, who sees the world in a completely different way, and everything is upside down with him, but is so strong that he is just sort of a Frankenstein monster on the loose.
Bizarro was originally not created as a comic foil, but he then was there, and the universe evolved around him, and they came up with the whole, he's gonna get things wrong, so how wrong can you be? And it became comic relief.
So where Superman stands for justice and saves the day, Bizarro does not know right from wrong and often messes up everybody's day, especially our version of Bizarro in this movie. He's very much a character who's trying to do right, but doesn't know how to do it well. He does it the opposite way, and so it's up to Superman to really sort of lead by example.
Follow me. I mean, don't follow me.
Bizarro World is a backwards version of Earth. It's designed to be a cube instead of a sphere. It also has very strange physics that apply there. Gravity works differently. Even superpowers work differently there.
When that world becomes threatened, Bizarro, who's sort of by himself and alone,
must save citizens from Big Head Machine,
puts it upon himself to create heroes for that world, to save that world. And that's why he creates the Bizarro Justice League.
We knew Bizarro was created by something called the duplicator ray. So it just made sense that he would seek out the same duplicator ray that created him to create his own version of the Justice League.
It's a good shorthand. I mean, all you had to do is say, oh no, Bizarro stole the ray from Lex Luthor that creates Bizarros, and
Bizarro.
What's he gonna do with it? And by the time you finish that sentence, he's already created the rest of the Bizarro.
So with Batman, you get Bizarro, who, you know, is the opposite of Batman. He's the world's worst detective.
We take nap.
He's my favorite character in these movies just because his cowl doesn't stay in place. It's always spinning around.
You have Bizarra, who is the opposite of Wonder Woman, who has none of the grace or beauty that Wonder Woman has.
She is a little princess.
Green Lantern is fearless.
Say hello to my little friend.
But Green Zorro is a coward.
He constantly makes a teddy bear for himself to comfort himself.
Cyborg is very high-tech. It's a high-tech robot body. And of course, Bizarro, the exact opposite, very low-tech.
Bizarro.
He's a little more steampunk, where the steam has rusted a lot of his metal parts.
That make no sense.
The Bizarros allow us to explore all of our favorite familiar characters in an unusual way through the cracked lens of a Bizarro camera, if you will.
Blah, 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 science, blah.
Anytime, you know, you get a look at a character in a new light, it's fun. You know, we're always used to seeing Superman as being a Boy Scout, being perfect. Bizarro gives us a chance to see him as the opposite, as clumsy, as unheroic. And to do a Bizarro Justice League and to give us a chance to see all the characters in that light, it's satisfying whether you're 40 years old or whether you're 4 years old.
Fist bump.
The rules of the Bizarros aren't very clear. You know, the way they speak, they're supposed to say the opposite of what they speak, but they don't do that for every sentence, because if they did that for every sentence, we would not be able to follow any of the stories.
Stay! They say the opposite of what they mean the opposite of what they say, and you can have endless fun with that. But it can also be very confusing if you get carried away with it.
Put that down. Bizarro, put down.
Bizarro is he's the slowest guy in the class. And he's understanding the concept of how sentences can be put together, but he am going to get it wrong because he's not as perfect as Superman.
Down means up means down. Why does everything have to be backwards with you?
So once you set that up, you could have a lot of fun building that. You could take these characters and start doing more and more absurd things.
Lego is so charming, and it's a unique opportunity to tell stories in a way that you can't in other animated DCU movies.
If you're gonna call something a Lego movie or a Lego anything, you have to acknowledge what a Lego is, and that playing with all those pieces and how they go together and how they come apart.
All right.
Just seeing these characters sort of, you know, bump into each other, or, you know, arms fall off, heads spin around, or even explode into, you know, several different pieces. I think that's something that we definitely wanted in this. We wanted as much physical comedy as possible, because at the end of the day, that's something that everybody, you know, relates to.
There are literal limitations to what these plastic figures can do.
We worked very closely with Lego on this too. There are certain rules about how to move the minifigure, how not to move the minifigure. Only Cyborg is allowed to lose arms and legs.
Oh, there goes my arm.
We confined that ability only to Cyborg because he's half man, half robot. We wanted the rest of the Justice League to keep their body parts though, with the exception of the hair. Treating hair like hats seemed a little more human than losing an arm or losing a leg.
Oh, man.
So that's why most of the Justice League, they keep their arms and legs.
Fist bump.
I don't fist bump.
Our artists had a lot of internal meetings about how the hands move. They have these particular little C-cup shaped hands, and it's hard to make a fist. But you know, you want to see that when Superman is punching something. You need to see his little C-cup hand somehow create a fist.
Take this.
The fact that they can get life to come out of these plastic blocks is a miracle to me. It's just amazing, and it's really fun to watch these movies. And I notice there's a lot of chickens in these Lego things for some reason. I don't know what that's all about.
Chicken. How degrading.
Is that another chicken joke?
You embarrassed by Bizarro, so you hide him.
I think the thing about the Bizarros is they're the ultimate underdog. You know, they're the backwards versions of superheroes. And because of their innocence, because of their charm, you root for them.
The great comedy that comes from the pairing of the Justice League and the Bizarro League comes from a personal level. The Justice League can't help but to see these opposites of themselves and all of the worst of themselves brought to life.
Oh, boy.
When you take one thing and you take the opposite of that same thing and you put them together, you're going to get conflict, which means you're going to get places to do comedy, you're going to get places to do drama, and that's sort of where this whole story comes from. It's taking two sort of sides of a coin, putting them together and forcing them to work together and see where the story takes them.
Luckily, Bizarro is a very flexible concept, and it has served our purpose however we've needed it to. And that's why he's around for 50, 60 years.
I'd wish you good luck, Bizarro, but I know you'd take it the wrong way.
Are you guys going to run all of these interviews backwards?